Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I thought it would be really fun just to sit down and do a really relaxed, chill Q&A for my upcoming wedding. If you're new around here, I recently got engaged in February this year, which means I have been in the thick of wedding planning for the last, say, 4 months or so, and I'm so excited with how everything's going so far. But I thought it would be really fun just to sit down and chat to you guys about some of the things we're going to do for our wedding and just some of the things we've kind of discovered along the way and just some challenges we've faced, and just I thought it would be really fun. So I think the first thing I'm going to touch base on is the proposal. So earlier this year in February, my boyfriend Hayden and I went to Japan. We usually go on like an annual snowboarding trip because we both really love the snow and snowboarding. Anyway, we went to the snow in February, and that's when he popped the question. I had no idea it was gonna happen. There were no signs. Like, I always see TikTok videos of people saying, I think he's proposing today and stuff like that, but I never really suspected it. I wanted to be engaged, or I've always just wanted to be a wife. I've always just seen myself walking down the aisle, and I've always just seen myself as a wife. And for the last year, I reckon, I have been really wanting and hoping that Hayden would propose. I did not expect it at all. When we were in Japan, there were no signs at all. It was actually really crazy because I think 3 or 4 days before he actually proposed, he ended up fracturing his shoulder snowboarding. So he just had a very small fall, but because he's actually dislocated one of his shoulders before, and he gets quite tight and sore through the shoulders whenever he snowboards, he fractured his shoulder by like putting his arm out in the wrong way when he lost balance. Anyway, he subluxed his shoulder and actually fractured like the socket. So he actually had an injury, a pretty bad injury. I think that kind of distracted me from the fact that he was even going to propose. And it was so strange because I think around about like the time when he fractured his shoulder, we were lying in bed at night, and I said to him, like, you know, I'm really bummed because you're not out snowboarding with me now, and we haven't gotten any photos together, and so we have no photos for me to post or to even have as memories. Anyway, so Hayden and one of our really good friends, who was also taking a day off, came up to the mountain to meet us for hot chocolate in the morning. The rest of our friend group kind of went out and skied and whatever, and this one friend stayed behind and we were just relaxed together for a bit. I wanted to spend time with Hayden. Anyway, he had said to me, hey, while we're here, let's get a photo. And he said to our friend, would you mind taking a photo of us? And I was like, yes, brilliant idea, because obviously the man listens. Anyway, so we lined up on this boardwalk, and it's absolutely beautiful. And we have had photos there before, so I didn't think anything of it. Anyway, so then we got this photo taken. Our friend was videoing, and she had my phone and Hayden's phone. She was taking photos with my phone. She's like, okay, now let's do Hayden's phone. And you know, we're posing, whatever, and then Hayden goes to me, oh, do you want to go check the photos? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go check. I started walking, and our friend's like, oh, hang on. And so I ended up walking back and like posing to get a couple more shots. And then all of a sudden, I felt Hayden like moving and dragging me down, and I look over and he was on one knee, and I could not believe it. I had no idea. I was absolutely clueless. I lost it. I don't think I even got a word out. I think I cried like the whole time. And yeah, and he popped out this ring, and here it is here. It is just stunning. I'm obsessed with it. So that's my really long story about the proposal. Did not expect it at all. And then basically after that, we weren't sure when we were gonna have our wedding. We weren't sure if we were gonna wait a couple years or not, or have it in like a year's time. So Hayden wanted to wait a couple years because obviously weddings ain't cheap. And so we wanted as much time as possible just to earn money, work our bums off, and yeah, be able to pay for the wedding. But then I think it was around April, I sat down and like we just had a chat about it. And I said to him, I don't think I want to wait a year. 2 years. I want to do it in a year. So we sat down and chatted about it, and both decided that let's get married within the next year and a half instead of 2 years, because it would actually be like over 2 years. I think the date we were looking at would have been like 2.5 years. And for some people, you know, that's perfect amount of time. And I was like that too, like initially, but then I think your girl just wanted to plan this wedding. Like, I don't know. And so anyway, yeah, So we ended up deciding we were gonna get married in 2025. I asked you guys to ask me some questions for this video, so I've got them written down here and I'm just gonna chip away at these questions and give you all the details. Before I go into answering any of these questions, I just wanna say that anything I say is completely like my own opinion, and just know that wedding planning looks different for everyone and not everyone wants a wedding. Some people like to elope, and we just didn't want to elope. We wanted our friends and family together, and I just think it's a great excuse just to bring your closest friends and family in the same room. Like, how often do you get to do that? And so any of these answers are literally just my own opinion and what we are personally doing for our wedding. It might look different for your wedding. It may have looked different for your wedding. And yeah, just know that wedding planning is different for everyone and we all want different things. And I think that is totally fine if you do something different to me. The first question someone asked is, how is wedding planning going? So wedding planning obviously has a lot of highs and lows. I am a very type A person. I love being organized. I love planning things. I'm always the person to plan our trips. And I just love planning in general. So for me, I have absolutely loved planning this wedding in terms of organizing everything. And I've just been having the best time with that. But then obviously, with weddings comes a lot of opinions and stuff. So I would be lying if I didn't say there have been moments where I have been super stressed out, and I've just been through like phases where even a couple of weeks ago, I just felt like just canceling the wedding. I was just that stressed and overwhelmed, and I know a lot of people go through something similar. So I think it's important you guys to know that wedding planning isn't just rainbows and butterflies. There are some really stressful things about it, and while I've been having a really good time, I've also been really stressed and overwhelmed. The next question someone asked is, when is your wedding? So like I said, our wedding is next year, 2025. I don't really want to mention the exact date, but it is next year and we are under a year away. So I'm very excited. Another question is, where is your wedding? So again, I'm probably not going to share too much information on that either just yet. Maybe as the wedding gets closer, I will mention it. But we are doing a destination wedding. It's not too far from Australia. There's your hint. And I'm really excited to do a destination wedding and to, you know, create an excuse for our family and friends to have a big old holiday while coming to our wedding, and just to make a trip out of it, a family trip. And it's gonna be so fun. I cannot wait. And it has been very interesting planning a wedding from a distance. So yeah, it's had its challenges, but we're doing a destination wedding and I wouldn't have it any other way. This is a really good question and something I've been meaning to even talk about on TikTok, but this person's asked, what are some non-traditional things you are doing for your wedding? I love this question so much. So we're doing a few untraditional things. I don't know if this one's untraditional at this point because a lot of people do it, but we are having an unplugged ceremony. If you don't know what that is, basically we aren't allowing anyone to take photos or to be on their phones during the ceremony. I understand that you still want images captured. Like, we do have a really good photo team hired. We've got a photographer, a videographer, and a content creator all there throughout the day to shoot us and to take photos and videos. I do know that guests still love to take photos and stuff of the bride and groom in the ceremony. So what we've done to kind of combat this, and hopefully this will also help the need for people to still sneakily get out their phones, is we're having an unplugged ceremony, but we're also getting our celebrant to announce like a small, like couple minute time frame or time period to allow guests to take photos. So it's going to be like a photo op, and basically our celebrant's going to be letting everyone know, like, we would love for you to stay present with us or be present with us, put your phones away, and then after we've done, you know, all the nitty-gritty bits, all the, you know, the serious, well, I don't even know what the word is, but once we've done with all the formalities, that's the word I was looking for, we'll give you a few minutes to take some photos. So we're actually going to implement like that, so hopefully people won't feel the need to get out their phones during like the walking of the aisle walks. What is that? The processional, the recessional, I forget what they call it. So that way no one's got their phone out hanging in the aisle while we're doing our walks, while we're doing our vows. I just want everyone to be really present with us and just to allow our photographer and videographer to do their thing. We pay good money for them, so I want to make sure that they get the good shots. And yeah, I'm still undecided on this one, but something else I think we're not going to do for our ceremony is to have people like pick a side. I kind of have two different ideas for it. I either just want people to sit wherever they want, like I don't care, or I want to swap sides. So I think traditionally the bride's like family side sit on the bride's side, and then the groom's side sits on the groom's side, like where we're standing. But I like the idea of swapping them around, so the bride's family are sitting on the diagonal from the bride, and same with the groom's family, so they can actually see our faces. But the thing is, I don't know, like what happens if you have more of the groom's family coming than the bride's, or vice versa, like you end up with uneven seats. So I think what I'm leaning more towards doing is having the front row reserved for the parents of the bride and groom, and then people can just sit wherever they want. You can just choose wherever you want to go. It's not about picking sides. As long as everyone's seated, that's what matters. It's actually really hard to think about all the like non-traditional things we're doing, because I just kind of have done it and haven't really thought about it. I've just done kind of what I feel I want to do, and same with Hayden. Like we are doing what we feel reflects us and what we personally like. And you know, another one I can think of is for our reception. I know traditionally you do a garter toss or whatever. I'm not doing that. I don't feel like, I don't know if that's even a thing anymore, but I haven't done that in the wedding and I don't want to do it. We are having a bridal party, so we'll have 3 on my side, 3 on Hayden's side, and that actually reminds me of something we're not doing, or we're doing that isn't traditional. And that is, we are not having bridesmaids and groomsmen. We are having 3 maids of honor and 3 best men. The reason why is because Hayden didn't really like, firstly, kind of being like, this is the best man and the other 2 are the groomsmen. Hayden saw it as like you're lifting someone up on a pedestal, and he kind of saw it as like favoritism, I guess. And I can totally see where he's coming from. The thing is, he said to me like he loves his friends equally and he doesn't want one to feel higher than the other. So when he said that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that either, because I really wanted to mimic and have like the same on both sides. And then he also said that he wasn't a fan of like groomsmen, the wording groomsmen, and that he really likes the sound of best men. And then I was close to doing bridesmaids and best men because they have B to start with, and I just think it sounds good. But then, I don't know, then in my head I was like, well, then best men are supposed to be traditionally higher status, and, or like, you know, the leading men, the leading people. And then bridesmaids aren't supposed to be, they're supposed to be just, I don't know how to put it, but basically I was like, no, if you're having best men, then I'm going to have maids of honor. I'm going to meet you on that level. So anyway, we're having maids of honor and best men. And because we're only having a small bridal party, 3 on each side, I think that'll be quite nice. So yeah, someone asked, what tasks have you completed so far? So we have booked all of our vendors and our venue. The venue was the first thing we did. And there was a lot of drama with that, let me tell you. We lost our original venue and it sucked because I loved that venue with every little inch of my body. Thankfully, it was in like 12 months before our wedding, so we had plenty of time to find somewhere else. All of our vendors are booked. I did that literally within the first few months. I went straight to it because I know photographers, makeup, hair artists, venues all book out. So I knew I just wanted to get everything done. We've had an engagement party. We had an engagement photo shoot recently, which was really fun. We have sent out save the dates. We have actually sent out invitations as well. Obviously proposed to the bridal party. So we've got like our group now, the bridal party all confirmed. And then just recently we have booked our flights and accommodation because we're going to stay a little bit longer after the wedding and do some fun family activities and stuff like that, and just kind of make a holiday out of it as well for ourselves. So that's pretty much what we've done so far, and now I'm just in the process of buying little things, commencing like a plan for DIYs and stuff like that. The next question is, how much is your wedding going to cost? Well, we know, we all know weddings are not cheap. Especially in this day and age with just inflation, it is not cheap to have a wedding. And this actually probably flows on to another question, which is, how big is your guest list? We decided to keep costs down. We're going to have an intimate wedding. Our guest list is capped at 40 people. So very, very small intimate wedding. And the reality is, the bigger your guest list is, most likely the more expensive your wedding is going to be. Now, I know people have done wedding on a budget and they've had like 120 people and they've done $20,000 wedding, and it's just I envy you. Anyway, so although I don't want to really discuss the exact amount our wedding's going to cost for privacy reasons, not because I don't want to spread awareness and to be transparent with you guys, but purely just because I just don't want to share information that we want to keep private. But weddings are very expensive, not gonna lie. It's probably one of the most stressful things about weddings is the cost of things. I don't regret it. Well, even though the wedding hasn't happened yet, but I will not refuse to regret it, because like I said, it's the one day you're gonna get to have your family and friends with you. For us, it's maybe the last chance we're gonna get to have an overseas holiday with our families, you know, and we're not getting any younger. And if we can create those memories with our friends and family, that's priceless to me. So someone asked, have you picked a dress? Honestly, I loved going dress shopping so much. I was so sad when I picked a dress because I'm like, oh, it's over. Like, I don't get to try on fun, big, beautiful princess dresses and really beautiful lace gowns, and it was just so sad when it all was over. But yes, I have picked a dress. I am so excited. It is currently, well, I hope I hope it's getting made. It's currently getting made, and it actually is going to take my dress 10 months to be made. So yeah, I had to go dress shopping pretty early, and I did a little girls trip with my sisters and my mum. I went to 3 locations to try on dresses and ended up choosing the first dress I tried on. So, but it was still really fun. It's just such a unique experience. I absolutely loved trying on dresses, and I tried on so many different styles. And I was actually so surprised at some of them. Like, I don't know, I thought I would look really bad in some dresses. They actually were so flattering. I was like absolutely shocked. So my tip for you is try on wedding dresses of different styles, because you'd be surprised at how good you freaking look in some of those styles, honestly, in styles you wouldn't even expect. The next question is, what are your opinions on having a hens / are you having a hens? I am having a hens, I guess. It's not a super traditional hens. I've never been like the party gal. I think I had like a party phase maybe for 6 months, and then that was like it for me. I've always been an old soul. I enjoy, you know, nights at home, having a cup of tea, having like nights on the couch with popcorn watching movies, being in bed. Because of that, I'm not having a traditional hens where we go out and party and drink and do shots. I'm leaning more towards having a bridal shower style hens, where it's going to be maybe a fusion of the two. I'm still kind of planning that. So let me know if you want like an update, or let me know if you want me to do a video of any DIYs I do for the bridal shower and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not doing a traditional hens. There will be lots of fun games and stuff, and yeah, who knows? It's still up in the air. This is a really good question as well. Someone asked, what are your top tips for being organized when it comes to wedding planning? Like I said, I am a type A bride, so girl, I got you. I thought I would show you some of the things that I have been using to stay organized and on top of like the wedding planning tasks. So the first product I bought for wedding planning is this really beautiful wedding planner from Fox and Fallow. It is so beautiful. They come in different colors and stuff, and basically it has like all of your kind of tasks to do in the lead up to the wedding. So we have like monthly planner pages where you can write down your to-do lists and stuff, and they also already have like automatically some stuff written there, some things you should complete by that date or by that time, which is really good, because if like this is your first time, you know, being in a wedding or having a wedding, it can be very overwhelming on when should I be doing this and when should I be booking that and when should I be buying this. And so this is really good for me just to get like kind of the gist of where I should be at or what I should be doing per month. It also has pages for you to put like inspiration. It also has a space for you to write your guest list, contracts, legal documents and stuff, gift registry, checklists. It's just so good. Actually, I just pulled open that checklist and it's got something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. That's another thing we are not doing. So yes, this was a really good kind of planner, especially if you're starting out. I had this one, or have this one, and I loved it. Something else I've been creating along the way, I'm just gonna block our date because it's on here, but is our wedding binder. So I just bought this binder from Officeworks. You can get them from Kmart and stuff like that. And basically in this binder, this will be what I bring overseas with me when it comes time for our wedding. And in this binder, I will have every little detail you can think of, coming down to vendor contacts, bridal party contacts, inspiration photos, shot lists for the photographer, transport information, hotel information, checklists, you name it, it's going to be in this binder. But because all of that is like still a work in progress really, I'm unable to put it in the binder just yet. So I've actually used Canva to create it. I think it's sitting at 130 pages right now of information overload. And so once we get closer to the wedding, I'll be able to print off all of those pages and slide them in here. But something I have actually put in here, I don't know if you have seen on TikTok, if you're kind of on Wedding Talk a little bit, but people make like, they go and buy a whiteboard, a huge one, and put sticky notes on there of all the things they need to do. And then it's super satisfying once they've ticked it off, they can peel off the sticky notes and stuff like that. I like that idea, but then it's just another thing for us to buy, for you to buy. And so I ended up printing off some A4 pieces of paper and I put them in my binder. So I've got to book, I've got to do, to buy, and to DIY, all in this binder. I'll basically have extra copies of everything too for our photographer, for our on-the-day coordinator, so that way we all have like run sheets and stuff. And that way if people need a copy of like the table layouts, the styling, I will have it there with copies to give to people. Another thing I have done as well is create an Excel spreadsheet. I know I've done so many things and I've got lots going on, but the Excel spreadsheet is basically like tracking everything. So we're tracking like which vendors we booked and when, their deposits or the deposits we've paid, the remaining amount to be paid, when that has to be paid, and then I can check it off. It has like a checklist. I've got guest tracker on there, so I'm tracking and keeping like all our guest information on that spreadsheet as well in a different tab. So I'll have guest names, so that way I can prep and plan accordingly. I've got a DIY checklist on there as well with what materials I need to buy. I've got little purchases. So basically we have our major budget, which is all the big purchases, so all your vendors and venues on one page, and then on the next page I have small purchases, so things like, you know, getting ready outfits, accessories for the day, party favors, things like that are on the small purchases tracker. And yeah, so basically this Excel spreadsheet tracks and, you know, keeps everything, all the information in the one thing. My binder will be the thing that's more portable. That's what will come with me. Whereas the Excel spreadsheet's more for now, for me to just track and make sure I don't forget anything. And whenever I remember something, I just put it into my Excel spreadsheet. Sorry guys, my battery went flat, so I just had to put in a new one. So in summary, my tips to organize a wedding is to either A, hire a wedding planner. I know it's an additional cost and some of them, believe me, are so expensive. I was blown away. It is so worth it to have someone who organizes for a living. They know the industry, they know when things need to be done, and they'll be able to help your stress, get rid of your stress. So that might be a tip. If you're kind of more organized or you're a type A bride like me, then you could do Excel spreadsheets. I found that really helpful just to keep track of budget, especially if you have an idea of a budget. So Hayden and I, we set a budget. We were like, this is how much our wedding's gonna be. We had the Excel spreadsheet originally to track our budget and like our spendings, and just to see like when we got quotes and stuff to see if it was doable in our budget. So that's initially what I had the Excel spreadsheet for. And then after that, I started adding in things like the small purchases tracker, but all of that came in after I did my vendors and venue. So that's your priority first, is to book them. And I think you should do that within 12 to 18 months before your wedding, because things like I said, like makeup, hair, photographer, videographer, they book out well in advance. Some book out 18 months in advance, especially if you're having a wedding in peak season somewhere. So make sure you get amongst it quick. So I definitely think Excel is a really good one. It's easy, it's on your computer. I recommend, if you have the money, you can purchase a really good planner like this one. I found this really useful. There were some elements that were missing. I think it's just good to have some sort of tool to track, because there is a lot that goes into wedding planning and it can be very, very overwhelming because there's just so much to do. And it's just nice to have like your binder or a Canva template or an Excel spreadsheet or your planning book. Like, it's nice to have those things with that information in, so you don't have to worry about it. You can just refer to a page instead of relying on your own brain, because trust me, your brain's going a million miles an hour thinking of all these things you got to do. So it's nice to have it written down somewhere. We have a couple more questions to go. I know this video is probably super long, so thank you if you're still watching and you've stuck it out this far. Someone said the downsides to planning a wedding. So I already touched a little bit on this question naturally in this video via other questions, but it can be very stressful planning a wedding, and I have been stressed over like financial situation. Not financial situation, but how much weddings actually do cost. It does cost a little bit. There are ways around it. It depends what you want and what you envision for the day. I think everyone experiences some form of stress for like money reasons when it comes to planning a wedding. Like, my opinion is, if you want to have a full wedding or a normal like wedding, then that's totally up to you. And if you want to spend the money on it, spend the money on it. I know a lot of people say like, oh, it's ridiculous to spend X amount of money on a wedding, and like, why would you put yourself in financial strife or in debt for a wedding? It doesn't, like, it's just one day, you know? It is one day, but it's gonna be one freaking awesome day. So I just think, like, you know what, like I said, you live once, and if weddings are really important to you and your wedding has been something you've dreamt of for years, and if you're happy spending the money on it and you have communicated it with your partner, then just do it. I know that that's probably not what you want to hear, but I just think that there's so many people who are like, don't do it if it costs too much money and it's not worth it. It's worth it to me. Like, I know the day is about marrying the love of your life, and at the end of the day, it's about, you know, marrying your partner. But to me, it's much more than that. It's so symbolic. I want to walk the aisle, and I want a beautiful dress, and I want to see my friends and family there and dance with them on the dance floor, and I want to have, you know, catering, and I want to have beautiful decor, and I want to have photos at my wedding. I wanted a wedding. I always knew I wanted a wedding. And I had a lot of people along the way tell me like, it's not worth it. Weddings aren't worth it. But to me, weddings are worth it. And I just think it's really important to be realistic on what your budget is. Set the budget and, you know, have a discussion. How far can we stray away from that budget, if at all? And then do what you can to fit that budget. And I guarantee you, a wedding on a budget or a more luxurious wedding, regardless, is going to be a beautiful wedding. If you choose to elope, beautiful. I love elopements. So personal. So it's just about you two. It's so intimate. And I just think you do what makes you happy. And if that's spending the money for a wedding because your wedding means a lot to you, and if you're going to look at your wedding down the track and you're still going to absolutely love the day that you planned and cherish those memories forever, then to me it's worth it. Something else that is a bit of a downside to planning a wedding is people's opinions. I don't know why, but when you're planning a wedding, people love putting their 2 cents in. And while some opinions can be super useful and very interesting, it sometimes causes a lot of stress. At the end of the day, you guys have got to be happy. And like I said, if you're going to spend the money and go through a year and a half of planning and, you know, running around like a crazy person, like, it's got to be a day that reflects you both, you and your partner. And it's got to be a day that you are going to be happy with now and fingers crossed in future. And yeah, there's lots of random opinions. Any kind of opinions that you get along the way, just take it with a grain of salt, because it's your wedding day. Have it how you want to have it. Do what you want to do. It's your day. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but someone asked, are you having kids at your wedding? This is the last question I've got on my list. And no. We're not having kids at our wedding. Maybe that's something that's not very traditional either. But we decided together that we weren't going to have kids just because it's very expensive to have a wedding. These days, I don't think it's very common to have kids at a wedding. It might be. I don't know. I'm not very informed. But from all the weddings I've attended, I think one of them had kids, and that was years and years and years ago. What we're doing instead, and I actually got this idea from a friend, but we are actually hiring a babysitter. So we put in our budget room to hire a babysitter. So because accommodation is literally where our venue is, the kids are just going to be right inside. So they're actually at the wedding, but not at the wedding, if that makes sense. And the only sections that we can't have the kids at is the ceremony and the reception. For cocktail hour, which we are having a cocktail hour, kids can come out, run around, play, we can mingle with them then. That's no stress at all because it's a lot more chill for cocktail hour. It's just kind of like that break of like all the different formalities. And the parents can easily go inside and check on them if they wish. And yeah, we're hiring a babysitter for them. Anyway, guys, that is a wrap for today's video. I know it's probably been a long one. We've probably been sitting here for like 30, 40 minutes yapping away, but I really do appreciate it. If you have made it this far in the video, please let me know if there's anything else you would like me to film in terms of wedding content. If you want to see some DIYs I'm doing, if you want me to update you on the little purchases I'm making, or any ideas we're doing for our wedding, you just want some inspiration, let me know because I will be willing to make any video you guys request. So let me know in the comments below if you have any requests for any wedding content. But I'm gonna love you and leave you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.